Marty Brodeur called me. He's like, Minnesota claimed me back. I'm like, no way. So I'm like back to Minnesota again. So the second time, all these defensemen that made the Select 17 team are shooting 150 pucks a day. I'm going to shoot 250 pucks a day. If I need to take a puck off the face, it's going to happen. You know?
All right, we're here on the Athletes in Sports podcast. I'm Max. We've got Andrew here and a very special guest, Nate Prosser.
Welcome, Nate.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, Nate, you're from Elk River. You played a little bit in the USHL after high school, played 4 years at Colorado College, and had a long career in the NHL, AHL, and now
just
you're
a little stint in the
just
A.
a little stint in the A, but
The jungle is what we call it. Yeah.
welcome to the jungle.
Yeah.
But you were with the Minnesota Wild for most of your career.
Yeah.
And now you're a devoted husband, man of faith. You got 4 daughters.
Yeah.
And how are you just making it all happen now?
Oh man. Yeah. The transition was hard. But no, it's been great. Right when I retired 3 years ago, almost to the day, and that first year I took completely off. I knew my wife, Brittany, needed me around. And my 4 daughters need me around. You know, it stinks to say you're almost kind of like a part-time parent when you're playing in professional hockey because, you know, you're on the road a lot. And then when you're at home, you're still, okay, we're on the road for 10 days and you're home for 7. Then you're back on the road for 5. Then you're at home. But even the home stretch, you know, when there's games, it's like, those are basically like I'm on the road too. You know?
Right.
So it's just, it was a lot of time being away. And, you know, my wife's like, behind every professional athlete, there's a rock star wife. And she truly was like, and I was fortunate to find her in high school and lock her up. And then, she's great with the kids. She's very stern. We try to make them well-mannered kids. And so now I'm just trying to get into the swing and not try to mess up too much in the routine of her day-to-day life. And then I, just entered the working world as well.
Because when any of your kids were born, were you not in Minnesota? Like when you were in St. Louis or Philly, like were you?
They're all born here.
Okay.
They're all born here. But we have moved, crazy story. My second year signing with St. Louis, I stayed up with the Blues until like Thanksgiving, and they put us like in a extended stay, but it was like a Sonesta suite. So it's like very not NHL style. And if you ask my wife about the story, I mean, like we were in a hotel, like a 2-bedroom hotel with 3 little newborns, basically.
Oh my gosh.
Probably like a 4, a 2, and a newborn. So the newborn's in our closet, and then the other 2 were in, jumping on bed to bed in the other room. And then we were like, it was, I don't know, just kind of a disaster for a little while. And, not too many people hear, the horror stories of, playing.
Right, they think it's glamorous. You're playing in the NHL.
Yeah. I mean, just the traveling and moving around was, it started having an effect on my kids. And that ultimately went into one of the factors on why I needed to retire, especially on my older one. Like when we went out to Philadelphia, it was hard on her. You can put yourself in her shoes and just be, okay, daddy's going to leave for a month for training camp. And then I got to go to a new city. I got to find a new school, new friends, new sports teams, new church. And, a lot was going through her head. It's easy to move your kids when they're 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, because they're just around attached to mom's hip. They don't know anything different. But she was at an age where, I think she was 9 years old, and it, it just started to affect her. She like every morning. Again, another story my wife would probably tell a little better, but my daughter, she couldn't get dressed in the morning. Like it was just something like mentally, like she couldn't put her socks on. It was like almost like World War III every time, every morning. Like the top of the sock needed to be on the top of her toes, just stuff like that. And just like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Like every time I'm leaving to the rink, and she's like, can't get her shorts on or something. I'm like, oh my, like, so just, there's a lot of things that went into it, but that ultimately kind of what would help me to make my decision to, hang it up.
And was that the COVID year
Yes.
Like
with Philly.
limited
My last 2
schedule?
years
Yeah.
were my second to last was kind of cut in half.
Right. The
That's when it
shortened
happened.
season.
And we were going to catch a flight back home. And all the airlines kind of shut down. So we're like, all right, we got to get in our cars and just get home. We
Yeah.
don't know what the heck COVID
Right.
is or what this is all about. So we drove with 4 kids now in a Suburban from Pennsylvania to Minneapolis. Like imagine that car ride. Like it just was like
All under 10.
I
yeah,
made that
man,
drive
it
is
is
not
you know
fun.
That probably made your decision a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Like, okay, time to
my
turn
hairline
the
was just
chapter.
kept going back further and further on that drive. I think that's when I lost the most of my hair. And then the next year was the full on COVID year where, in a bubble and, no fans and, playing white noise over the intercom and, it's kind of a weird situation, but,
Yeah.
I think,
Bizarre.
the NHL did decently well with it. And, yeah.
Well, they changed how they did the advertisement on watching on TV.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I know
like-
everything. Yeah.
So let's go back to like your early days. Was hockey always your sport, or like how many other sports were you playing growing up?
Well, I loved the change of seasons, honestly. Like when the hockey season was over, I was so looking forward to, pulling out my baseball bat and my baseball glove. And I love baseball. And then when that season's over, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to tackle people, the change of the leaves. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to, run with the ball or, and play some football.
You played high school football then too? for
I
Elk River?
played I had to stop because they started the elite
the
league,
elite league. Yep,
about
yep.
around the time I got into high school. And
Right.
that was a huge advantage for kids to want to stay, because the high school season is pretty dang short. So they're like,
Right.
you can have another 15 games.
Right.
with
From like
this elite
losing
league.
kids to juniors.
Yeah, exactly. So, I stopped playing football and baseball at the same time, probably 9th grade. So I didn't play 10th or 11th and 12th. And, but I loved, I probably loved baseball and football as much as I did hockey. I think I just, I was a late bloomer. I eventually grew 1 foot in one year and started to, kind of get a little better at hockey, with lack of better terms. And that is kind of the sport that I, my dad was trying to push me into a little bit more, I would say. My brother played hockey. So, you kind of follow in your older brother's footsteps. And I think that was around like 17 when I, started to really ramp up the intensity with hockey.
And like, so you said baseball, football. Who got you into those sports?
Honestly, like I was just like an active boy. Like my parents, like I was a pest, I had a brother 3 years older than me. So like I was probably constantly being a little pest on his back. And, my parents were like, man, we need to get this boy active and get him outside and, just for our mental psyche as well. Like, so they basically like locked the door and said, you're not coming back in till dinner time. And so like they got me in everything, and that was just kind of, their motto was, keep us active. And that was my mom's biggest thing. And she's kind of a health nut. She's 61 or something like that. And she still runs every morning, 6-8 miles. And she, teaches aerobics classes. And, so like I got my work ethic, not from my mom or dad, or not from my dad or brother. I got it from my mom, like she'd write workout plans for me and, chest and triceps one day, back and buys and legs and,
That's
all this stuff. So I'd go to the gym in Elk River. And again, I got this drive in me, at around 17. And that's kind of the point in my life when, I started to take things a little bit more serious with hockey.
So then did you finish out high school at Elk River? Did you go into the USHL?
I went to the USHL halfway through my senior year. It was the hardest decision of my life too. It was, and that's like a huge decision in a lot of kids' lives. And, here in Minnesota, they're all saying, you should stay in high school hockey. And I get that. But I think I was at a point in my life where, and my hockey career is like, I needed to make a decision. Do I want to strive to really make this my whole goal was to play get a scholarship and play WCHA hockey. Right. So if that's my goal and that's what I'm striving for, it was the right time.
decision
you
for
know,
you.
it was the decision to be made. And, you know, and I was more mature at that time. So I was ready to, you know, get away from mom and dad. I was the baby of the family. So every decision was made for me my whole life. So I needed to get away from them.
Right.
And, you know, do my own laundry and,
Right.
make my own schedule.
I mean,
and
juniors, it's a great stepping stone to college.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
like I played a year, and when I got to college, I was never homesick. I knew how to do my own laundry, make my own meals, and it was just a great.
Oh, I cannot even tell you the amount of like, I went from a boy to a man there.
Yeah.
Like that's ultimately what you do.
And you were at the Stampede?
Yep, Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Yep, which was a great city too, and I had great host parents. I still keep in touch with them today,
cool.
and it definitely was probably the biggest stepping stone for me in my career.
Well, when we go out to the Stampede, because we have a partnership with them through InSports, we see your big banner.
Oh yeah,
big Nate Prosser.
Yeah. I've seen that. I was out there last year. They did like a Nate Prosser day, and it was, I
sweet.
dropped the puck, and it's beautiful new arena. I mean, it's probably not that new anymore, but it's
great organization.
Yeah, it is. It is. They do it right.
Next time we need to combine that, like, because we sponsor all their youth camps, and they have a day. And, we have our kids go drop the puck.
Oh,
and
nice,
stuff, so.
Nice. Yeah. It was a great city. We spent a lot of time on 41st Street, that kind of that strip with the restaurants and the mall, and but after my senior year, I played my 19-year-old and I was 20-year-old, so I didn't have school to attend or like focus on. It was just hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
So like talk about a time where I can get to the rink early and get a good workout in, and really strive to work on things I need to work on the ice and off the ice, and not have to think about a test or not have to rush out of the rink because I've a wife to get home to or whatever.
Right.
It's like just focus on hockey. So like those couple of years were great. Like you drew really close with your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
My last year there, we went on a good run. We went to the finals and lost to Kyle Oposo and Trevor Lewis and Des Moines Buccaneers. And, but it was an awesome run. Awesome. Like we went to game 6 with them in the finals, I think. And, it's honestly like, it was a memory like I'll never forget, just because like the group that we had, and whenever you can kind of make a run in the playoffs, like that's so much fun.
Yeah,
Playoffs
no matter what level you're at, like whether it's Pee-wees or
for sure. Yeah.
So then you went to Colorado College. How did you decide to go there? Were there other, because a lot of Minnesota kids, there's so many Minnesota D1 options.
Yeah. Everyone wants to play for the Gophers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
was that your kind of dream as a kid? Like you were a Gopher fan?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I wanted to follow in Paul Martin's footsteps. He's an Elk River guy. But they never recruited me. I like I said earlier, I was a late bloomer. I was 5'2" until I was 16 years old. I was just late to get armpit hair. Like I just was. I don't know why. That's just how God intended it to be. And so I got cut from a lot of teams. I didn't make the Blades, the high end AAA teams. Like I was just a kid that just went out and enjoyed playing the game because I enjoyed playing the game. And I eventually grew a foot in 1 year from 16 to 17. And one vivid memory was like getting cut from the Select 17 team up in St. Cloud. And I remember getting in the car, I was like crying with my dad, and he's like, Nate, you can take this 2 different directions. You can, go play varsity at Elk River until you're through your senior year and be done. And I'll be super proud of you. Great job. Or you can let this, light a fire under your butt and, kind of really see where it's going to take you. And, so that's where like the fire in me came. Like I just got a drive in me that was like, okay, if the Blades and the team that got all these defensemen that made the Select 17 team are shooting 150 pucks a day, I'm going to shoot 250 pucks a day. Like that drive, like got into me. Like coaches telling me I'm not fast enough. Well, all of a sudden, like I was out doing sprints and plyometrics and rushing box out on the track in Elk River by myself to like prove, not necessarily like prove them wrong, but there was something in me that was just like, man, I'm going to do whatever it takes to, play in the WCHA.
Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the In Sports Foundation. At In Sports, we're all about helping kids get more involved in sports. We do this through providing free camps, scholarships, and team sponsorships, all to help reduce the cost of sports and getting more kids into the game. Through sports, kids can learn valuable life lessons, stay active, and maintain their mental well-being. To support our mission and help us get more kids into the game, visit our website at insportsfoundation.org to make a donation. Together, we can make a difference.
It's so cool to hear that, like 20 years pass and you still remember that car ride with your dad. Like that was the crossroads.
That was
like,
it.
I could be an average hockey player and good. Yeah.
And the way he said it to me was like, proud of you either way.
Yeah,
like, I mean, there wasn't pressure. Yeah. There wasn't any pressure. Like, I don't want to be a dad even today with my girls. I don't want to pressure them to play for the Gophers someday or play in the PWHL or play in the WNBA. No. Like, I tell them, like, you know, don't play hockey because I did. Play hockey because you really enjoy playing hockey with your friends, and wherever it takes you, it takes you.
Right.
You know,
and if this is going to be your decision, we're going to work hard at it.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of his saying there was just like, you know, I'm gonna hug you and tell you I love you and that I'm proud of you, even if you don't make varsity at Elk River and you don't play after high school, like, and that's okay, you know. And but yeah, I think there was from 17 to 24, like after, that's when I kind of, went through puberty and, hit my growth spurt, like, and people do that at different ages, obviously, but
I was like 12.
Yeah.
or maybe like 10.
Yeah. I'm as hairy as you are now, but I'm sure you got it before me. But like 17 to 24, like my game like really accelerated.
Yeah.
Like year in, year out, I got better every year. And it wasn't like it was ever on my mind to be like, holy crap, like I want to play pro hockey. It was just like, I'm just still just, enjoying being in Sioux Falls or enjoying being and playing for the Tigers. Oh yeah. Back to the question of, being at CC. When we were growing up, we went on a couple of trips to Colorado as a family. Yep. And I loved the state. And I thought amazing. Just, getting away from, mom and dad would be all right. Going to play for Denver or CC. Those are kind of the two that kind of pop in my mind because they're both good programs too. And like I said, Gophers weren't recruiting me. North Dakota wasn't, or St. Cloud. Like I would have loved to, take some visits and see what that was all about, but never did. But so I took 2 visits and they're to DU and CC, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. School comes first with, a scholarship, like that's probably what I'm going to jump at. And just so happened to be CC. So that, I took a visit down there, beautiful campus, got to know a lot of the guys and the coaches, and it just felt like the right fit. So
felt like home.
Yeah. And like out every dorm room window, there's Pikes Peak sitting there. It's like just a beautiful.
I had a chance to do a visit out there too, and it was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
And they also have a super unique school structure, like class structure.
The block plan.
You just focus on that one subject. Did you like that? Or
that also appealed to me. It turned out to be really hard, like academically.
You can't hide I'm stuck at this.
It's a small school, like, probably 20 students per classroom. So like they grade on attendance and you got to be a part of the discussions.
Yeah.
Like, so if they say
participation,
200 pages of reading a night, like you can't show up the next day and only read 2 of them or skim through a lot of them because you're lost, you're in trouble, So, but the block plan was good because when, like I said, when I was in Sioux Falls, 19 and 20, I was out of school. So the thought of me jumping back into,
taking 6 classes
with, that I needed to focus on, writing 6 papers or, 6 finals, like that just, almost kind of intimidated me a little bit. So going back to 1 and just, having to grind out 1 class for 3.5 weeks and then taking a break and then doing 1 class for 3.5 weeks. Like I just thought that seemed like another good fit there for me.
And what did you end up majoring with?
Economics.
Economics.
Yeah, that's kind of the business major out there where a lot of the guys take that. So we kind of all did it together
Yeah.
and got in classrooms together. And so that, you get so tight with the hockey guys because, our schedule is a little different than just the normal student.
You're traveling, especially being at
exactly.
CC and the WCHA,
Exactly.
you're traveling
Exactly. Oh man.
all over.
Every other weekend we're, playing Mankato or Duluth or Wisconsin or North Dakota.
So then your family got to probably come to a ton of away games.
Yeah. And I was dating my wife at that time. So she went to St. Thomas. So we did 7 years of long distance. But because I was traveling back to Mankato and St. Cloud and Minnesota and Duluth, and she was able to, we were able to see each other quite a bit still.
Did you meet in high school?
Yeah, high school. Yeah.
High school sweethearts.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 17. She was 15. So kind of robbed the cradle a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
Awesome. And now what ages are your kids right now?
12, 10, 8, 5.
Okay. And just based on your career and your hockey journey and just sports journey, I know you touched on it a little bit, but like how does that give you perspective into like helping guide them through sports, life, faith? I know faith's really important to you too.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely number one. That was number one for me. That's who I am. I mean, my personality comes from my work ethic, my drive, my everything kind of comes from my faith. And then, I always kind of had almost like a totem pole with, where things lied in my life, and faith was always number one. And that's hard to do when you're playing in the NHL and kind of the, your world is almost revolving around hockey. It's hard to always kind of, take a step back and, realize kind of, that where your foundation is.
Yeah.
And then
you're not surrounded by other people that have that at the top of their totem pole.
No. I mean, it's hockey. I mean, you eat, sleep, breathe, train, drink hockey, and that's kind of the culture. And that's, not saying that I didn't strive to be my best at each and every day, but I always knew kind of, where my foundation lied. And that was always in my faith, and then family and friends, and, when I was in school, it was academics, and then hockey, and that's, I always want my kids to know, like, hockey shouldn't become number 2 or number 1, or any sport, it's, you always got to kind of keep it in the right perspective, in the right spot, because, I mean, it's called a sport for a reason. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to, be enjoyable, and, not take it like overly serious. I think in today's culture, it feels like, people want to, play for the Gophers when their kids are 8 years old,
right?
Like let's let them be kids,
right.
Kids are, meant to be kids, build forts in their backyards, and, go play, street hockey in the street, and, pick up wiffle ball games or pickleball or, something, all that silly stuff. But, so I don't pressure my kids into, thinking we gotta, I got a crazy glue a hockey stick in your hands,
right?
Cause like if they don't have the drive at 12, it's not the biggest deal.
Yeah.
And it's not the biggest deal. Like, I didn't have the drive at 12. I made it to the top level, and like, I didn't get the drive.
It might come later.
Yeah, it might. Like, I didn't get the drive till I was 17, So like, if your kid makes a B1 squirt team, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Like, it's not. Like, if your kid's not getting asked to every AAA tournament, it's okay. Like, there's a lot of years to develop, and to grow, and to, see where the good Lord takes them.
Right.
Because honestly, there's a lot of growth after you do, get that armpit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like 0.02% play pro sports.
Yeah.
And you got to play for 10 years, but like, you are a part of the smallest percentage of all athletes and sports to make it to the top tier.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like so many parents miss that mark, because they push their kids because they think they want to play college. 2% of kids play Division I sports.
Yeah.
And it's like, you take away all of the important pieces of sports when you try and push them and pressure them.
Honestly, there's so much to learn just being in sports. Like, I'm never late for anything. I show up here 15 minutes early. Like, I haven't been late for anything in my life, and that's come from sports. Like I've always been like deathly afraid to miss a bus or the plane or, you know, a meeting. Oh my gosh. If I miss a meeting, that's like what my nightmares are made of.
Yeah.
You know, like there's accountability, there's a work ethic, there's winning as a team, there's losing as a team. There's so much good to team sports and other sports. I mean, tennis, golf, I never did many of those, but there's so much good with it, and just, you know, being out and active. And but yeah, I you know, looking back on my career, I was, you know, my faith, you know, had a lot to do with it. I mean, just how he, you know, opened doors in certain spots and closed them in others, and gave me opportunities. And not saying like I didn't have to, you know, perform when those opportunities came, but you know, it was definitely cool to look back on now.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I've heard you speak once just about your faith and how you use that in the NHL to bring others, like just teaching them about, you know, Jesus and everything. And I think it was so cool how you got so many other people to just learn about it, not to force anything down their throat or anything, but it's like, just, hey, this is the story of the Bible. And I think that was awesome.
I just tried being a light whatever locker room I got put in, whether it was Minnesota, Philly, or St. Louis, or Iowa, or Houston, or Allentown. Like, I mean, I knew I was placed there for a reason. And, you know, I played, I think 360 NHL games. And I think probably 300 or 400 were up in the press box. So like, I was able to find a little role in a little niche. And, you know, not saying it was all easy, because it wasn't. I sat out for weeks on end and not played a game. Like that was hard in itself, but I always try to go back to the rink the same way, because I wanted guys to, you know, see like, you know, there's something different about me, and like there's a light to me that it's not me, it's, you know, Jesus in me. And, you know, so, so I just, you know, whatever room it was going to be in, I knew I was there because he placed me there.
Yeah.
That's so cool to hear you say, because like I've heard you also say when you came from St. Louis back to Minnesota,
twice.
Twice. But like when the guys just accepted you and they were so pumped to see Bros back in the locker room.
That was like probably one of the greatest days of my life. Like, honestly, it was like, that was a good day, because I signed with Minnesota like in, let's say 2015. I got cut out of camp. They claimed me back. 2 years later, I signed back with them. I don't know why.
Waivers.
And then I was put on waivers a little later, because Jay Bolmeister broke his foot out of camp. So I stayed with the Blues until like Thanksgiving, and they're like, hey, Pross, we got to put you on waivers. And I'm like, oh crap. All right. Like, where am I going? And then the next day, their assistant GM, Marty Brodeur, called me. He's like, Minnesota claimed me back. I'm like, no way. So I'm like back to Minnesota again. So the second time, and, you know, just driving back home and, you know, getting back up to the XL Energy Center, my locker was in the same spot. Like all the guys just embraced me, and I don't know, it just, you know, it was a cool moment just to know that, you know, I'm having more of an impact than just the game. Right. Like I liked being the locker room guy. I liked being, you know, whatever, you can call me the glue guy or something, but you know, if that was going to be my niche and my role is hey, if I'm not playing, I'll get my pom-poms out for you guys.
Yeah.
And even if I'm, you know, playing 12 minutes a night and I'm, you know, sitting the last 8 minutes, well, Suits and Spurge, let's go. We need a goal. Like, let's go do it. Like, and if I needed to have my pom-poms out for that, like, let's, you know, I didn't know if I was going to play a year of pro hockey, and, you know, to just being there and being a part of it, like, it was my dream. So like, I wanted to do whatever I could to stay there. And if, you know, you see a lot of guys in that position, seventh defenseman or a depth forward, you know, it's a hard spot to be in, and they'll, you know, turn it as a negative and, you know, complain or, you know, go knock on the coach's door.
Become just a cancer in the locker room.
Yeah. And that never works out. It never works out. Like it's, you know, do you think Suits and Spurge and those guys want to hear about me thinking I should be playing or if I should be getting more ice? No, those guys, you know, they got their own stuff to worry about. They're, you know, if we're on a, you know, 4-game losing streak, like they don't want me to show up and be like, well, I should be playing, or, you know, I should be knocking on Yossi's door and being like, why am I not playing? We're on a losing streak. Yeah. No, they don't want to hear, the coach doesn't want to hear that either. You know? So, Mike Yeo and Chuck Fletcher always knew what I brought on and off the ice. And so they always kind of had my back throughout my career. And that's kind of why I was able to stick around as long as I did.
Well, and just like the mental focus that you must have like went through to be like, you know, a seventh defenseman and going back and forth between teams. Like how did you stay mentally in it?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, you know, my wife was good at that, like kind of just, you know, pulling me back and just, you know, always telling me you got to pinch yourself, you know, like, again, I was undrafted. I didn't know if I was going to play 1 year pro hockey or, you know, 11 years the way I did. So I try to almost embrace day-to-day life of it. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. Like, it was truly a dream. Like, I mean, NHL is called the No Hunger League. You know, it's not the National Hockey, it's the No Hunger League. Like, you're treated like a king, you eat like a king, you sleep like a king, you travel like a king. It was a dream come true. And I wanted to stay there as long as I could. So it was almost kind of easy for me right out of the hop to see how guys were able to carve out longer careers. And it was always good guys, you know, like guys want to be around good guys. Like, there's 23 guys in the locker room. You're around each other every day for 6 hours a day for 9 months a year. Do you think guys want to be around guys that are jerks?
Right.
You know,
Right.
no.
You're probably not going to last too long.
No, you're not. No. Like, I'm telling you, I could write a list of over 100 people that, you know, went the other way with it, that think they were getting screwed, or the coach was out to get them, or they, you know, just different circumstances. And I'm like,
and that's I mean, that's from young athletics sports, like high school, college, all the way up to the pros.
Yeah.
Like, those kids in the locker room, like, if you're a good kid, good person, you're the light, and like, you're respectful, like those are the kids that are getting the playing time and that are the glue keeping it together.
Well, and that translates to school, business, like anything that you're involved, church, like you want to be around good people. You know, like, if you're not acting that way, like,
again, these go back to like the traits you pick up in sports. You know, you can't be a jerk in the locker room. Nope. You're gonna be an outlier pretty dang fast. You know, kids don't want to be around that. You know, so in business and life, like, relationships are huge. Like, that on this side of heaven, like, what's better than, you know, having good relationships? And I don't know, maybe I'll throw in a spot here. My boss, Brian Slipka, just wrote a book on it. Win Some. It's all about relationships, and super cool. Like, whether it's, you know, dealing with your daughter, or your son, or your coworker, or your boss, or you know, it teaches like lessons on how to grow and maintain and manage your relationships through all of it. So
Brian's on our list to have on the podcast.
Oh yeah, nice.
Put his book in the show notes.
You should have him on. Yeah. Well, I'm throwing him in something here. Yeah.
So now, you're in the business world now, and you're, you know, working for Slipka. I know, like, down at Lonsdale Packaging. Like, how has that transition been from being in the NHL to now, like, full-time business world?
Yeah. I mean, transition was hard. Like I said, I took the year off. Well, and that year got up, and I'm, you know, started thinking, okay, now where's my next chapter of life? So I went to school for economics. So I always kind of figured I wanted to, you know, test the waters in business and that type of world. So I started meeting with a lot of people that I've met along the journey of living in Minnesota all my life, just different business owners, CEOs, presidents, whoever would grab a coffee with me. I was just all for it, because I just wanted to almost kind of get a temp check on, okay, what's day-to-day life look like here? What's it look like here? What's it look like there? And well, there was something different about Brian, just, you know, how, you know, he's a very faith-driven man as well. He wants to obviously, you know, create profit and have all the companies do really well. But for that to happen, he wants it to have an impact and influence in the communities that they're in. And, you know, through his faith and, you know, non-profits and stuff like that. And so, it's just different. He was different than the other people that I met with. So I drew near to him and, thought it would be a good fit. And he said, well, God's timing on it. We'll make something work. We'll get you going. And so, like, he called me probably, a month after we met, and he said, Nate, we're buying this packaging company. Was this something that, you want to, help manage and be a portfolio manager down there? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, let's give it a run. And so I've been there for 2 years. Obviously I've learned a lot, and, doing what I can to grow it. And, but yeah, it's been good, good culture down there, bunch of, small town Lonsdale people. It's been like almost like shifting from one locker room to the next,
right.
Type of thing.
It comes back to the relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And is there anything like for you that through your sports career that you've now taken into being a manager of a company?
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of leadership traits, on how to, like have a growth mindset, instead of a fixed mindset, and that's kind of what I've had all my life is like, how do I continue to grow as a hockey player? Well, how do I continue to grow as a man? How do I continue to grow this company? Having that mindset. So, what I've noticed is a lot of my journey is, between the ears, and I've always had, kind of a good mindset through a lot of my life. And, that's kind of what's carried me over into the working world.
Is there any like tips or tricks or things that you do kind of on a day-to-day to keep that mindset? Obviously the faith is number one, but any other, still working out, any mental health tips or tricks?
I get involved. I try to keep the competitive juices flowing like that. That's one thing I do really miss a lot.
Yeah.
Like, especially watching NHL playoffs and the Stanley Cup, just getting over. Oh my gosh. Like just get the itch to get back out there again. But
you still think that you could be out there?
Oh man, I doubt I could have played still, but you miss it, like especially playoff time. I was fortunate to play in I think like 25 playoff games, and those games were like the best.
Just a fan watch it in person.
The best. Yeah. I mean, the whole intensity level with fans in the locker room, looking across at the guy next to you, just knowing that, we're going to do whatever it takes, shift in and shift out. Like if I need to take a puck off the face, it's going to happen, so it's like that, like you saw it in the playoffs, like guys, I remember seeing Lusterinen, I think I'm saying it right, with the Panthers. He went down to block a shot and basically just said, wherever this Bouchard slap shot's going to come and hit me, it's just going to hit me. Like, and I don't know where it got him, but it had to be a stinger. But he was willing to take that off the head if he had to. Crap, what was the question?
Anything that you're doing?
Oh yeah.
Stay mentally focused.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have a little bit of quiet time when I can, like
hard with 4 kids.
Yeah, no, it's basically I have 5 wives at home there, and then they all got louder and louder as they went too. It's nuts. Like this is the most talking I've done all month. Like all like
you don't get a word in.
No, I hardly. The only time open my mouth is discipline. That's it. That's all I do at home. So like when
Which doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, no, probably. It's not. Yeah. So. Actually, my like drive down to Lonsdale is kind of my time just to, have that quiet time and just like spend time in prayer or, whatever it might need, whatever I need that day, is kind of that time to, recharge and, be ready for my day, and just be thankful for a new day, so that's kind of, where I kind of get my quiet time. And I think everyone kind of needs that. When Jesus walked the earth, like he needed to get up in the morning and go take his own quiet time and just get right. And then, okay, now I need to go, start my day or do whatever he needed to do. I think there's some benefits to it.
Absolutely.
Do you ever listen to any of your old podcasts you and your brother had?
Every Box? Yeah.
There's some good ones.
Yeah. I know. We love doing it. It was so cool, like, having a buddy on there and, just kind of just like this, it's just a natural, it felt like I was back in the locker room. And that's what I would text him is like, cause guys can sometimes get nervous. Like, what kind of questions you ask me, don't get into this or that. And I'm like, just act like we're at morning skate here in the locker room, you know, like that's what this is. And, so it was a kind of a cool, like, just organic conversation. But just life got so dang busy, my brother's got 4 kids and I got, 4, and just a lot of sports going on and activities. And So,
coaching.
Coaching all their stuff. And, that, again, I was never able to coach any of their, stuff. So they're all begging for me to, watch their soccer game, be on the sideline of their lacrosse games, coach all their hockey. So I basically live at Plymouth Ice Center, so.
Well, I'll say when you and your brother started that podcast, that was definitely an inspiration for us to start this podcast.
Sweet. I like it.
I was like, if Nate and his brother can do it, because I think when I heard you speak it was at like Edina Country Club or something. Yeah. You kind of announced like you and your brother were starting a podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So no, it'd be fun to have you pick that back up once. Yeah. Maybe when life settles down.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. We definitely want to get back to it someday. And I don't know when that will be. Like, I mean, he's got a 8-year-old as his youngest. I got a 5-year-old as my youngest. I don't know. Like, life gets so busy. The best thing I can do is kind of try to slow life down as much as I can. Mm-hmm. Like, you only get so many years with your kids. Right. You only get. They say you only get 18. Well, actually, probably only get like 16 once they can drive. Like they're hanging with their friends. So, I got 4 years left with my oldest, and like that's kind of crazy to think about. So I
just want to spend as much as you can with them. Did you find something beneficial from this Athletes in Sports podcast? Please share this episode with a fellow athlete, coach, or someone who loves sports to help them reach their next level and help kids get in the game.
And now that you've had a chance to actually go back and coach, hockey, what is your view right now on youth hockey? Like, what are kind of the positive and negatives that you're seeing? Because it's changed since,
it definitely has. Yeah. I mean, it's really accelerated. I mean, the skill level, the skating ability.
The kids are good.
Oh my gosh. I went to my nephew's Squirt A hockey game last year, and they were in the district championship, the O'Learys.
Yeah.
And
they're good.
They were setting up like one-timers on the power play and stuff. I mean, I couldn't one-time the puck until I was probably in like Bantams. These kids are like, it's really accelerated. And, that's the good part is like, seeing how good these kids are getting. And, they all look up to the Oilers in Florida and, seeing these guys and how well they skate. Well, skating and stick handling and shooting, all that matters. And that's stuff that you can work on. And, I don't know, I guess some of the negatives are just, just the busyness of it. I would say, I think it accelerated to a pace that's kind of crazy. I think, me personally, it went from 8U hockey with some of my daughters playing 3 nights a week to 10U hockey playing 5 or 6 nights a week. And it's just, I don't know, accelerates pretty dang fast.
Right.
And again, like I said, like, we're just trying to slow life down, you know, not in one where, some might say it's a good thing. Some might say it's bad. I get either way, but, my kids like doing other things too. They like, going to the cabin a lot and like, playing basketball, well, people look at you with, like you're a lunatic if you think you're gonna play hockey and basketball at a certain age, and it shouldn't be like that. No. If my 10-year-old wants to play basketball and hockey, it still should be able to, but, so it just really accelerated. That's what I would say.
Yeah. It's almost like the specialization has picked up, which is okay to some extent. And it kind of gets you excited and focused, but just having the opportunity to try a bunch of other sports seems so important, and really a big part of why we started in sports was to give kids this opportunity to just try it. Because you don't know what if your parents are pushing you to be a hockey player and you love basketball, like you should have that opportunity to try.
And it's not like, oh man, if I need to stop playing hockey to go play basketball and I want to make the NBA. No, like this is my passion. I just want to, go play basketball and, however far it takes you, so be it. Like that you had fun and you're enjoying, being a kid like that's what, it's all about, to keep it, as a sport, like that's the biggest thing, that my whole journey, I just loved the game. I just loved being around, my teammates. I loved the competition, being physical. I loved game night. And the moment I kept telling myself, the moment I lose that is the moment I needed to be done. So like, I always wanted to like keep the love, and I had the love till I was, 35 years old. Like I love playing. I just, just kind of just being a rink rat, or, and maybe if I would have stuck with baseball, I don't know how far it would take me. And if that was my passion, then maybe we would have played through high school, and that's okay.
Stick to what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so many other things I could ask you right now, but whether it's NHL or like your kids, but if you had some advice to give a parent who's got kids going through youth sports, like what would some words of advice be to parents right now?
Kind of is what we've been saying, is like,
slow down.
Yeah. Let your kids be kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that's hard. Like I'm almost speaking to myself when I say that too, because
Right.
like, it's hard not to get wrapped up in thinking, okay, all of her friends are playing this much. Well, if she's only playing this much, then, she's not gonna make the A team or something. But really, like, I don't know. Does it matter in the grand scheme of life? Does it matter? Like, I made B1 teams still.
Right.
I never got asked to play for the Blades. I never made any select teams. Like if
it's meant to be.
If God has it in her plans, then, maybe when she gets to 17, she really takes off, and, so, I don't know. I would say, enjoy, being around your kids, enjoy parenting them. I think that can be hard at times. Like I said, a lot of times I just feel like I'm disciplining 24/7,
Right.
but I'm hoping that the end game is going to be better and it's going to be a good one, because I'm doing that.
One other thing that I think stuck out too is just like being present and just like being there for them.
Yeah.
Which I think is like, just as a new parent, I've got 2 little ones too. And it's like, just be there is the biggest thing. Being present.
I'm telling you, like, that is huge. Like, just being there for my girls when I got done, and like telling my daughter that I'm going to be around forever now. Like, she started crying, like came and gave me a hug, like that.
Like, you're not Dad is
no,
not traveling.
He's not going away, and like just the personality change in all my girls, because I'm not gone. It's like that's huge. Like, I just, want to be around. I want to have an influence in their life. I want them to, not to like pat on my back. I want them to find a husband,
Right.
similar to me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, like, but, just, having an impact in their life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've been a huge just mentor to Max and I, and just everything about you and your life and how you're a father and how you run your life. But we do this with all of our podcast guests as our Play It Forward campaign. And our Athletes in Sports podcast is just trying to help more kids play sports. You've been a role model to both us and all of the kids that you've impacted through our In Sports Foundation.
You always say yes to anything we've asked you to do. It's been awesome.
So appreciative.
I love what you guys do with it. And honestly, again, the relationships. I mean, I don't know any of the kids that I go on the ice with it, but maybe I have an impact in their life. Maybe I can cheer them up for a month or a day or that hour. Who knows? But like, I mean, if I can have that impact in their life, easy for me.
Well, I remember when we did our camp with you at the Tria rink before a Wild game.
Yeah, that's great.
For a group of New Directions, inner city Minneapolis kids, and wide range of ages, wide range of skill level.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the kids wanted your stick, and you're like, yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best days of their life. Like, they got Nate Prosser's stick. And but we're just so appreciative of you taking your time to give back. And because just a huge role model. I mean, even when kids get like a high school player from their local high school to come skate with them, it's a big deal. And so for a NHL guy to come and
I definitely had some good role models to look up to. Coming from Elk River, just a lot of kind of down to earth, humble, kind dudes. Like Dan Heinout was another one. Paul Martin, just guys that really, really, really good dudes. So like they would have done anything for me if I asked them a question or wanted to skate with them. Like Dan Heinout took me under his wing. He would invite me out to the ice with him. He had a key to the rink when he'd come back in the summers, and he would let me come skate with him and some of his pro college guys. Just like
they didn't have to do that.
No, he didn't have to do that. Like, I mean, just, so I had some good role models to really look up to as far as like, giving back and, and having fun doing it and, trying to cheer up somebody's life. And you guys are doing it the right way.
Yeah. You don't know the impact that you're making on the kids. And, yeah. To just keep that perspective in mind, like even just saying, hi, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like,
How's your day? How's your school day going? What are you interested in? And what's your favorite subject? Do you have brothers or sisters? It's easy. Like it's creating conversations and, maybe this kid hasn't had a conversation in a while, and maybe that's all he's looking for is someone to ask him a few questions and be a listening ear. Well, geez, that's pretty easy to do, right?
Love it.
Well, on behalf of our In Sports Foundation, it's part of what Andrew's saying, our Play It Forward program. We'd love to be able to provide $1,039 in honor of your old number to continue to help grow youth hockey. And you've already been doing that with us, but we would just want to keep collaborating with you, keep finding ways to grow the game and get more kids into the sport that we all grew up playing and loving. And
awesome.
So
that's sweet. Well, thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. No, you've been, like Andrew said, a great mentor and friend. And we look forward to continue to make big things happen.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Athletes in Sports podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to follow, subscribe, like on all the channels. This is how we can continue to bring these inspiring stories to you and make a bigger impact to get more kids into the game.